Good morning. This is Blaine Greenfield, and you're listening to the Blaine's World Show, heard each Wednesday here on the new WPVM LP in Nashville, North Carolina. You can also listen online at WPVMFM.org and watch on WPVM's Facebook page. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and each week we focus on the Asheville theater scene, as well as on positive news and information about some of the good stuff happening in the Asheville area. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce our first guest, Rodney Smith.
Morning, Blaine. Good to see you again.
Welcome aboard, Rodney.
Thank
and
you.
By the way, for your many fans and friends, if you want to wave to them at Facebook Live, I think we're on, so you can...
I don't know where the camera.
Oh, sorry. We moved the
So
camera.
Hi.
Okay. Yeah. So Rodney's on Facebook Live with us.
Yay.
And I should mention that Rodney has been part of the Asheville theater scene for the better part of the last decade. I guess the same time I came here.
Give or take, yeah.
I think I saw you in a show, and I said, this guy to watch.
Yeah, and people still think you have good taste anyway, so.
Anyway, he began his journey acting in productions for multiple local theater companies. For the last 4 years, he has transitioned into writing and directing. Credits include, but are not limited to, his own stage adaptation of Night of the Living Dead. And by the way, I just have to stop for a second there. When I heard you were doing that, I said, I have no interest in that, but I loved it.
Thank
It was
you.
just, it was fun. It was, you really hit that.
Thank you very much.
Great show. Everything you have down, Terry Tempest, the final interview.
Mm-hmm.
Love that show. You know, his own full tilt boogie at the Big Bang Diner. He's a co-writer, performer, sound designer, and producer of the Super Happy Radio Show.
Yep.
Our comedy podcast, and head writer director of the Crimes and Misdemeanings comedy variety show. Rodney is also associate producer for TMT, Magnetic Theater. When not working in theater, he's an award-winning photographer doing business as Tempest Fugit Design. And he also doesn't sleep much, I guess. Is that correct?
Not today. Not today.
Well, I have to ask
No.
you, Rodney, in terms of all the different stuff you do,
Mhm.
do you have a favorite thing you do?
I don't think so. I think for me it's all part of, I like to tell stories. So whether it's photography or writing or directing a play or when I was younger I did stand-up comedian, I've dabbled in music, but it's all different mediums to tell a story, whatever medium best suits that story is my favorite medium in the moment. So I don't know that I have a favorite. It's all part of one big adventure for me, I think.
Talking to you reminds me of an interview I had last week with Jeff Messer, kind of a mutual friend there. And Jeff said, and it reminds me so much of you, that he's doing 9 different projects at once.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like a stove, and he has different burners on the stove. And he always keeps the 10th one open. There's something else come along.
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
A little bit, yeah. There always seems to be. I like to keep busy, and I like to keep creatively busy. So, yeah, there's always, where some people are like, "Hey, you should really rest." I get restless when I'm at rest. So rather than being on Ritalin or meditating like normal people do, I get involved with project after project. I really enjoy doing it.
Or some people say, and there's kind of my dad, would just do one thing well, you know, and if that's you should concentrate on. But I don't think that's as much fun as doing a lot of stuff.
It is. You're right. And again, if everything is framed as this larger goal to tell stories or to communicate with an audience or to entertain people, then to me it's not a whole bunch of different projects. It's all part of this one larger project.
Does it ever get confusing?
Every day. Every day.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, we'll segue right into what you're working on now.
Okay.
But you're working on, what is it, Crimes and Misdemeanings?
Misdemeanings.
Misdemeanings. And what's that all about?
Well, it's just a play on words of crimes and misdemeanors. It actually started as it was the title of a sketch that I wrote for the Super Happy Radio Hour a long time ago. And when we did our first variety show, I was looking for a name for it. And this was one of the sketches we were doing in that variety show, and it was Katie Jones, one of the artistic directors over the Magnetic, who just loved that as a title, and she said you should call the whole show that. And in fact, we had even thought of this whole idea of, for every show, take one of the sketches and make the name of the show, but kind of felt like we wanted to brand the show and keep a single name to it.
No, I agree with you. I
Yep.
love it. You know.
So, first one was Crimes and Misdemeanings. This one is more Crimes and Misdemeanings. The next one will be like Crimes, Misdemeanings, and Videotape. And the next, so just keep playing with those words. So
or
we
3,
can-
4, and 5.
Yeah.
But that's really exciting stuff. And talk a little bit about the concept of it, which I think is great. And I've been at every one. I think it started out several years ago as a fundraiser
Yeah,
for,
Farms Around ASD.
and
Yeah.
what was that all about?
Well, the Super Happy Radio Hour was a sketch comedy show that was read from the page, uh, performance comedy, like a radio show that we used that we created a podcast from. And I started to realize that some of those sketches would translate really well into stage pieces. And I just have always been a fan of classic sketch comedy. We were talking about Saturday Night Live before the show, and I think it's come back around and become a good show again. But I was a fan with, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and Gilda Radner and that crew. And I'm a huge fan of the original Carol Burnett show and Monty Python's Flying Circus. And I wanted to put together a comedy show that wasn't sort of news of the day, low-hanging fruit comedy. I wanted to get a bunch of writers who are really brilliant and write sketches that'll still be funny 30 years from now. Funny for the sake of funny. So we took some of the Radio Hour sketches, and then I reached out to some of the other just really fantastic writers in town. Barbie Angel and Travis Lowe and a couple of other folks. Andrew Gall wrote something for this piece, and my friend Stu, who I've known since I was in my early 20s, just these great writers. And I said, submit your sketches. And suddenly we had a flood of sketches come in and, had to say we can't do them all. And so great, we got a few. Great, next show is already halfway written because of so many submissions. And grabbed a bunch of my favorite people, actor-wise in town, who are very funny and improvisational and adaptable, and people who I can hand a script to, and 2 days later they go, I got an idea, and they bring that to the table. We workshop it for a month, and then we have a show.
And I have to encourage listeners to try to get to it because it's really funny.
Thanks.
And it's a feel-good show, too.
Yeah.
It's not overly political. It's not overly anything.
Oh, no.
It's a little bit of everything.
You're not going to learn anything. You're not going to become a better person. You're just going to laugh for 90 minutes. Just, take you out of your day-to-day and just entertainment for entertainment's sake.
Well, something else you've done with the shows, which I think is a lot of fun, too, is aside from having the skit performers, it's almost like an old-fashioned variety show, as you were saying,
Very much so.
Carol Burnett, because if you see a show, you're also going to see some, quote, guest entertainers.
Yeah,
What's the
we have
idea on that?
we have a guest entertainer for every show. Four brilliant stand-up comedians for this one. So this show is just this one weekend, the 12th to the 14th. 4 performances. We have 7:30 on Friday and Saturday, and 3 o'clock matinees on Saturday and Sunday. And each show has its own guest performance. Jason Shoulder will be there Friday night at 7. Gotta get the order right. And then Saturday at 3 is Becca Steinhoff. And then Saturday at 7:30 is Kelly Morgan. And on Sunday at 3 is Ari Funny.
And so back to the time, I think you said Friday night is what time?
7:30.
Oh, 7:30, yeah. So kind of, you'll see the show, you'll see the sketches, you'll also see a comedian. And then I remember in the past, you also brought in another performer sometimes?
Yeah, this time around we're only having, for this particular performance, we're only going to have one guest performer, and they all happen to be stand-up comics. But we aim to do this show twice a year. And when we do this again, which I think it's going to be February, is the first show for next year, is to have a comedian in the first act and then another talent, whether it be a musician or a dancer or some other type of professional artist in the second act.
Or you could make your comeback as a stand-up comedian.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No?
Boy. No.
No, but you'll get to, you're the MC?
No, the first show Barbie Angel will be hosting
really?
this
Cool.
one. So, again, to sort of tap into that variety show feel, every show will have a host who will appear in some of the sketches, but will also be the one that carries the show along from sketch to sketch.
Something to look forward to. Will Barbie be in all the shows?
She seems to be going that way.
I mean, so
yeah.
the coming up, she'll be in all 4 shows?
Yes, she will. Yeah, she's the host of the show. So
Oh,
she's
and-
actually got a piece, a couple of pieces that she's performing in each
And
performance
she
as
was,
well.
I thought, hysterical in the last one.
Yeah, she's
So-
actually reprising one of her characters, the Princess Clotilde character. It's
Oh,
a new piece, but
right.
it's the same character.
I loved
Yeah.
it. She also, I thought, was brilliant. We'll give a shout-out to Barbie,
Yeah.
our mutual friend.
Yeah.
She was brilliant in that one-person, not one-person play, but the play she was just in it.
Yeah,
Magnetic.
Death by Sparkle.
Yeah, wow.
Her fictional autobiography. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant, and that's something that we at the Magnetic Theater are putting through our new play development program with the goal of making it that was a staged reading you come to see. We're looking at, hopefully down the line, workshopping to that into a full-blown performance that we would stage.
And even though, like I said, it was a stage reading, it felt like a full-blown production. I mean, it was...
It did.
Yeah, a great cast, too, and it was a powerful story.
It did. Well, that's kind of the idea behind the stage reading.
Yeah.
We wanted to if you're a playwright and you wanted to get your material put on stage, well, you either run around from theater to theater and solicit it and say, here, I want to do this. But at the Magnetic, we're really trying to be dedicated to being a writer's theater that develops new material that comes in. So Barbie's play, she said, I want to do this, and Katie Jones took the helm, and it was more than just, hey, we're going to read it. We're going to read it, we're going to give critical feedback, go through some note writing, workshopping process. Then the next step, once we get it in that position, is to get a bunch of actors and really rehearse a staged reading. So as opposed to just sitting in chairs reading from the script, they really worked on the emotions and the switches in it. Still read from the page, but at least it feels a lot more like a performance.
And it didn't feel like they were reading from it.
Exactly.
And you had, you had such a great cast for
Yeah.
it, too.
Yeah, they did.
It's a great thing. Are you going to be doing more of those?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know how many a year we're going to do. This is the first, since the Magnetic changed artistic leadership, this is the first time that we've done one of these with Barbies. That's not true. I think we did one of Travis Lowe's plays about a year ago. We did a reading of that. So this is the first one of Barbie's, first one that we've done this year. But yeah, the goal is to do at least one, if not more, a year.
If anybody would be interested in that, for example, they have a great idea for a play, would like to get into a stage reading, they would contact you or Andrew?
Either one of us, or as a capture-all, you can certainly reach us through Facebook Messenger on the Magnetic Theater page, or you can go to themagnetictheater.org website, and there's a place there for contacting us with. And you can submit plays right through there, or submit works, or at least contact us for a meeting, or however you want to work that.
And since we're talking about it, let's just talk a little bit about the Magnetic Theater.
Sure.
And I think especially since you've gotten involved over the last couple of years, there's been a definite shift, and it's just, it's a really neat organization.
Yeah.
In that you kind of never know what's going to be happening next.
Yeah.
in it,
Yeah.
So let's talk about, so for example, some of the upcoming stuff that they're doing at Magnetic is really exciting.
Sure. Well, so Magnetic started 10 years ago, and the concept of the original Magnetic was to be a writer's theater and also put on specifically original works. And that was fine for a while, and we had the old space, we moved to the new space, and I guess it was about a year and a half ago that Katie and Andrew took over as artistic directors, and I came on as an associate producer. And we are continuing this idea of original works, but also doing underperformed works as well. So some interesting things, like Action Movie, the play that Andrew directed earlier this year, which was just sort of an overtop action thing, and producing a couple of David Hope's plays. Paula Vogel's play, Indecent, will be coming up in a couple of months. Murphy Funkhauser Caps, who had a one-woman show at ACT, will be reprising her show.
And you're going to be directing
I'll
that.
be directing that one.
And
yeah.
talk a little bit about that, because I'm also anxious to see that one, in that the format is like really kind of unusual about that. Explain it.
It is. So she wrote sort of like Barbie's thing. It was a sort of very comical autobiography, and Murphy's just hysterically funny, and it's this one woman performance that was chronicling her life from early teenhood to pretty close to today. And she's got a very interesting life story. It's wild and fun, but it's also very relatable and sort of a lot of learning moments in the whole thing. She had performed it at ACT about 2 years ago, I believe. And it was a great stage for it, but maybe a little too big, because this is something, a lot of it's very personal, that she can kind of take right down to the audience. So we decided to restage it at the Magnetic. Well, in that time, she has expanded the show, and we realized, oh my goodness, we have 2 shows. We have the first half of your life and the second half of your life. So when we stage her show in September, I believe it is the 5th through the 15th. It's running 2 weekends, but it's going to be a dozen performances in 2 weekends, where you can see part 1 of her life and part 2 of her life. So I think on Friday night we're doing part 1. I'm sorry, Thursday night doing part 1, Friday night doing part 2, Saturday doing part 1 in the afternoon, part 2 in the evening. But the beautiful thing about it is they're both set up as independent shows. You can only watch one, and you'll still have a beginning, middle, or an end. You can just come see the second one, and the second one has a recap of the first at the beginning. That's almost a piece of theater in itself. Just to recap the entire first show in 5 minutes, the beginning of the second show is a comic bit that you don't want to miss. So yeah, it's an interesting idea. Hopefully, people will come to see both shows.
Now, you're directing that also.
I am.
Right. In your spare time.
In my spare time. Well, that's next. At least with shows, I tend to try to do them one at a time. I get involved with a bunch of things at one time, but shows, I try to put all my focus into one show at a time if I can. I know there's a lot of actors and directors around here who are like Scott Cameron, who's in our current show,
Right.
Crimes and Misdemeanings, is also in Robin Hood right now, and I don't have the brain space to do that at
Oh,
the same
that's right.
time.
So I know he's in because I've never seen Scott as a comic actor.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm really anxious to see it.
He's really funny.
Is he?
In fact, the first time I worked with him was Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, that's right.
and-
Yeah, he was good in that.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen him at that point. I'd only seen him kind of do ensemble stuff at ACT, and then he wound up doing Honor Moore's show, the Mountain
That's
area,
right. Yeah.
Mopac.
Right.
And he was very, very funny in that. So when I was putting this show together, I was like, yeah, I want to work with him.
Well, it's interesting because, like you said, I first met him and was impressed with him in Young Frankenstein, but just had a small role.
Mhm.
And so now, that'll be exciting to see. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen him in quite this context.
Yeah.
But good actor, good guy.
Yeah.
But also, you raise a point too, how he does it, other people do it. So, like you said, he was in Robin Hood. I saw him last week. Dominic Aquilino wasn't last week. So
Right.
I guess they're flipping. So
Yeah.
he'll be in it this week, and then he'll be in your show.
Right.
And Dominic will, I guess, will be
Right.
taking it. Oh, I was wondering how they were doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, really
Yeah,
cool.
I think they have a couple of roles that they're
Right.
sort of giving same role to two people.
Well, again, it amazes me too, Rodney, that people can do that, you know, and the record is to do 3 at a time, you know, that you're in rehearsal and...
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I had trouble in the one I was just in to memorize 5 lines, you know,
Right.
and these guys are remembering, you know, lots of lines.
Yeah, and what's amazing to me about, like, you take a show like ours, Crimes and Misdemeanings, I think it's one thing if you're acting in a show and you play a role.
Right.
You can get into that role's voice, and that kind of helps you memorize all the lines. Well, he's playing this role in Robin Hood, and then I think 4 different parts in our show.
Right.
So it's not even just learning all those lines; it's switching gears.
He had 2 roles in Robin Hood, so now he'll have 4.
I didn't know he had 2 roles
yeah.
in Robin Hood.
So
Okay,
that's
I haven't seen that
the
yet.
other day, but that's 6 simultaneously. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yet shout out to, I think he's a friend of yours also, Struthers Stingley.
Oh yeah.
I just saw him in a show up at Parkway.
Yeah.
He had 8 roles, you know.
Yeah.
And that guys can do that, you know, it just amazes me.
Oh well, Strother did. We did a sort of a members event for the Magnetic Theater, and we decided we were going to do one of the sketches
Right.
from our January
I
show,
remember.
but couldn't get the person who was originally in it had a conflict. Strother learned the lines to that piece in like 2 days and had the character down and
He
hit the
nailed it.
stage, and you
It-
would have thought it was his the whole time.
Exactly. Well, also, even with you, back to your stand-up
Mm.
days, so, you know, that's funny. That was like a whole nother life.
It seems like
did,
it,
Did
yeah.
stand-up. And you don't per se do stand-up, but you do funny bits in everything you do.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, comedy's always been a sort of staple in my life.
And then the first show I saw you here, I fell in love with you and Sid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thanks.
That was the show at 35 Below.
Neighbors.
Neighbors.
Yeah.
And that's the first time you've done serious acting?
A serious piece, yes. Yeah, I think that's the first time I've done a dramatic piece. In fact, I think it's the only time I've done a dramatic piece.
Right, because I haven't seen you do something
Yeah,
like
I was
that
in
since-
Lysistrata. That was a comedy. I was in A Christmas Carol, but that was sort of, it was Fezziwig, so even that was kind of a comical performance of that. Yeah, I don't think I've done another serious role. Not really.
Performing or directing, which do you prefer?
Directing, definitely.
Most directors tell me that.
Yeah.
What, because you don't have to memorize lines?
That's part of it. That's part of it. I think because I like, as a director, I like the idea, and I don't mean to make it sound like I'm diminishing the personalities of the actors in a show, but I kind of like the painting. You know what I mean? Where you have these actors and you have these words, and putting all the pieces of the puzzle together to create a show. That's the part of theater that excites me more than creating a character, which I think is what motivates an actor.
How about the play you wrote, which I loved also, what was it,
Okay.
Dinner at 8?
Oh, Table 6, the
Table
first
6,
one?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That you wrote, but you also directed.
I
Is that
did.
correct?
I did.
Do you enjoy directing something you write?
I do. I know that there is sort of there are a lot of people who feel like you shouldn't write direct things that you wrote, but I think I come from a very kind of a Mel Brooks or a Woody Allen school, which is I write a play with the intention of directing it. So I'm writing my own direction into it, and I think directing the final piece that I write is really a part of the journey. It's not done until
Interesting.
I get it on stage and I get all the people together and I mold the characters. That's part of the process of creating a play for me. So I always like to try to direct my own. Well, once I get it done, like Full Tilt Boogie, I'm happy to let somebody else take it and direct another version of it. But I kind of have to get my whole vision out, I think.
That just amazes me that people can do like all three. You know, not only act, direct, and put the whole thing together. It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
I had really good tutors here in town. I mean, I don't have a theater degree. I didn't go to school for that. I did go to school for English, but not for theater. But since I got involved with theater here, I've had people like Steph Hickling Beckman and Steve Samuels and Andrew Gall and Jeff Catanese and great writers like Lucia Del Vecchio and Jameson Ridenauer who have always been there for me. And hey, I got this new piece. Can I send it to you? They read it. The writers give me feedback and work on it with me. And my director friends will come to my rehearsals and sit over my shoulder and say, "Have you tried this or thought about that?" So it's been really great. This community has made me the writer and director that I am. They fostered this love for what I do.
You mentioned Full Tilt Boogie. That's also now being done elsewhere.
It has been performed. It's been produced one other place in Rock Hill, Illinois, and without too many details, it looks like it's going to get staged again, hopefully next year.
Where? Someplace else?
I can't say
Okay,
yet.
but someplace else?
Yeah, somebody not Asheville. Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Did you get to see the production in Illinois?
I didn't, unfortunately. It was one of those things where, like we were talking out in the ready room, you're in theater makes it really hard to see theater, even your own theater sometimes.
Oh, would you have loved to have seen that?
I would love
Did
to
they
have seen
video
it.
it by chance?
They did. I'm actually still waiting on the video. They sent a bunch of photos, and it looked like it was really great.
Oh, is that exciting?
Yeah, they had a
though?
huge budget. They did like a big ACT-style set, and the
really?
whole 9 yards. Yeah, it was gorgeous. I
Well,
wish I
again,
had seen it.
Magnetics Theater, to your credit, also to Andrew Gall, that if you can do that action movie, and just talk a little bit about that. It's just the most amazing thing I ever saw with car chases on the small stage there.
Yeah. Andrew Gall, who's one of these artistic directors, I believe he's friends with one or both of the original writers of that script. The script was written in mid-late 80s, I believe. And it was just this crazy idea of let's take all of these giant action movie tropes and try to make it happen on a black box theater stage. And so it was just at this breakneck speed of a crazy action show, car chases and what they had the fights on the roof of the
best,
moving
yeah.
cars with chainsaws and there's no way to describe it. You just had to see it. It was unbelievable.
And Andrew told me that. I said, I have no interest in seeing this, And then they said, and my wife is not a theater fan that I am. He said, have her see it because his girlfriend, significant other, liked it too.
Yeah.
And she loved it. It's just
Yeah.
the craziest show.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah, and it's kind of the cool thing that we wanted to bring to the Magnetic. We are really interested in putting on theater that you can't really see every place else, that nobody else is really kind of trying to do. So, the variety shows or the action movie kind of thing. Or in October, we're going to do a horror anthology. You don't see a lot of horror on stage, so we're doing one of those. And yeah, just trying to keep it, things that you wouldn't see at ACT or you wouldn't see at NC Stage.
And that's one of the things I love about it because it naturally no longer has to be completely original stuff, but it's original, at least for me, in that I haven't seen it in Asheville.
Right.
That like the one you mentioned coming up is a very exciting play.
Indecent.
Indecent.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
That's Andrew's directing that one.
Right.
I have to admit, I have not had a chance to. It's a. I almost don't want to speak to what it is because I only got a chance to read it once and I'll describe it badly. But it's a really interesting historical play having to do with. It's Jewish theater, and there was somebody who had written a scene that the Jewish community would not be exactly proud of, and yet and the journey of this theater company putting it on. And I wish I had a better description
No,
of
but
that.
I think that's a really good description of it.
Okay.
And it's something that it's never been done in Asheville before.
Yeah.
And it's something that it reminded me of a couple of years ago, I think before you got involved, but it was that a David Hope's play about the fire?
Yeah, Washington
Yeah,
Place.
boy, I love that.
Yeah,
And,
he writes some really interesting. We've done a few of his plays. Actually, The Assassin's Garden, the one that just went down, that was his, and Uranium 235, which was earlier in the year. He writes these amazing, historically based pieces. Yeah, Washington Place was about the fire in the 20s in New York that went down in the fashion industry and killed a bunch of people there. And where the story could have been about the fire, it was
Right.
actually about the people who were about to perish in the fire and what their story was, and it was beautiful. And Uranium 235 was a take on World War II and the uranium bomb, and it was really about the people who were affected by it, and not just the story of. Same with Assassin's Garden with the assassination of William McKinley, but it was really more about the surrounding idea of anarchism and how that affected people at the time. He's a brilliant writer.
talk about some other things, Rodney, you're involved in. Something else we were talking about off the air, and you have to get me more into it.
Sure.
But you have this whole idea, which I think is kind of cool, about hashtag reviews.
Audience review, yeah.
But what's that about?
So something we kind of tried to, we started about 2 years ago, and we're trying to get it to pick up a little bit more steam, which is over the course of the last couple of years, we've lost a lot of coverage for theater in this town. Asheville Citizen-Times doesn't really have a big theater presence anymore since they sort of scaled back on that. Mountain Express does a great job, but they are limited to how many reviews they do. We're thankful to have people like you who have us on our show, but to get the word out about theater can be tough sometimes. So what we started doing in every show, and we're hoping every theater does this, not just the Magnetic Theater, but to get behind this idea of hashtag audience review. And the whole concept is, if you see a show and you like it, get on social media and tell people about it. You don't have to go through a long review. You can just say, look, this was a great show. I loved it. Tag the theater, tag the event, but at the end put hashtag or # hashtag audience review as one word. And the idea behind that is if we can trend that hashtag, then you can go to Facebook or any social media or even online and do hashtag audience review as a search, and it'll bring up reviews that people have for the most recent shows. So hashtag audience review, and then again, just make sure you tag the show, tag actors who are in it, tag an event, tag a website of the theater company, whatever you can tell people, because we believe that the most valued reviews come from people that you trust and you believe in. So, how often have, you read a review and the review says this is the greatest movie ever, and you go see it and you're like, this is a terrible movie. But you get a review that says this is a terrible movie, but Cynthia loved it, so you go see it. And well, if Cynthia loved it, then clearly I'm going to like it. So the review means more coming from people whose opinions you respect.
And talk about the value of the hashtag. For example, what I do, sometimes I'll highlight the names. On Facebook, you can highlight names or something. But the hashtag is a little bit different than just highlighting the name.
It is. It's like a keyword search. It's a quick tag. A keyword search is probably the best way to describe it. It's putting a bunch of keywords, and what the hashtag does is it tells the social media construct. It creates a hyperlink out of it. So, like, if you click on, if you see a hashtag something, you'll see that it's a hyperlink. You can click on it, and then it'll show you everything else that's been given the same hashtag.
Okay, so you want folks to start using hashtag audience review, one word.
Yeah.
And Rodney, lastly, if folks
Sure.
want to find out more about, first of all, the upcoming show,
Sure.
more crimes and misdemeanings, best bet is to do what?
The best bet would be to go either to the Magnetic Theater's Facebook page. There's an event there, or you can go to themagnetictheatre.org, and we will have you can get information and ticketing right from that page as well.
Okay, and encourage folks to see more crimes and misdemeanings.
More Crimes and Misdemeanings opens this Friday. We have 4 performances only, so get those tickets right now.
Okay, it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, and Rodney, anything you're involved in, it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for being my guest this first.
Thanks,
Karen
Brian. It's always
Glenn
great
Show.
to be here, and thanks for giving a voice to the theater community. We really appreciate you. I'll speak for all of us on that one.
Anytime, my friend. Speak to you soon.
Yes.
Okay, good luck with it.
Thanks.
And as Rodney's working his way out, I'll mention, as I do, some upcoming shows in the Asheville area. And two good ones that I think you'd really enjoy if you get a chance to see. One is A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, and that continues at Parkway Playhouse through July 13th. And for information about that one, you can go to parkwayplayhouse.com. And I just saw that this past weekend. A lot of fun, a lot of great music. I encourage you to see it. In addition, I'm going to try to get up to Sod in Mars Hill, and they're putting on Something's Afoot, a murder mystery musical comedy, and that's from July 11th to July 21st. For information, you can go to saughtplays.com. I should also mention that, if I can find the information here, that support for this show in WPVM is underwritten by Grail Movie House, Asheville's alternative cinema. Grail Movie House is an independent, locally owned, 3-screen cinema located in downtown Asheville, North Carolina. For current features, visit the Grail website at grailmoviehouse.com or the Grail's social media pages. I'd now like to introduce my second guest of the Lane's Rose Show this week, and she is Magie. Magie.
Yes.
I have to get it correct. And, Magie is a singer-musician, and welcome aboard, Lau.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, and you can also wave to many fans and friends on. Oh, we changed the camera. I'm sorry, it's up here, so you can
Hi.
wave. So in Facebook land, and everybody's
Wonderful.
watching you, Lau Magie. I have to get that. And we're talking Lau off the air, but first I should mention who Lau is, and she has a very light-hearted approach when it comes to playing Lunar, a prized ukulele. Oh, so we even have a name for it. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
From songs about popular hairstyles to celestial beings, she enjoys sharing her folky tunes with flair and passion. She's also an actor, or become an actor, and she just starred in Hands on a Hard Body. She killed it in that show.
Oh, thank
The
you.
extent I told you off the air, and I told you when I first heard Cynthia tell the story. But Cynthia is my beautiful bride, and by the way, shout out to Cynthia. We're celebrating our anniversary today.
Congratulations.
And ask me, by the way, I don't know if you've ever seen this, ask me how long we've been married.
How long have you been married?
Not long enough. At any rate, so Cynthia sees Hands on a Hard Body, and she says, we have to see Lau afterward. And I said, okay, we'll see Lau afterward. And she's speaking to Lau and says, Lau, I love that show. I loved your performance. You were the best thing in the show. And I'm looking at her, what was I, chopped liver? She didn't say anything about my performance,
Aw.
but she loved your performance in the show. Was that the first time you had ever done a show?
Actually, no. I was in a few shows in San Antonio, where I'm from, where I moved from. In Rocky Horror, Hairspray, Cinderella. I was in different things there.
What was the first show you were ever in? As a kid, were you an actor?
Ooh, I don't think as a kid, but when I was in high school, I really got into it, and I think I was in Major Barbara by George Bernard Shaw. It was one of the wasn't one of the very small part. I don't remember what part I had, but it was very small.
I always thought what should be a really cool thing, Lau, sometime in Asheville, maybe it's a fundraiser at Magnetic Theater or some other place, that everybody would do their first part,
Goodness gracious.
that, some people start at 5 or 6 years of age or something,
Right.
but you come in a Major Barber, so you had to do that role to recreate it. Like, did they have a videotape of your performance?
I don't think so.
Oh, because wouldn't that be cool to see
would be
how
wonderful.
you evolved?
Oh my
But
goodness.
at any rate, so I have to ask a couple other questions. We were talking, so you got me curious now. So ukulele has a name. How did it get its name?
Well, actually, it has Luna on it. I bought it because I have a connection with the moon, and one of my band's names is Moon Dogs, and I don't know. It says it on there already, so I decided to call it Luna.
How long have you been playing the ukulele?
I think 3 years.
Okay, what got you into that?
It was, I wanted to sing, I wanted to write, and my hands are too small for a guitar. So, as you
Really?
can see, yeah, I feel like they are. I've tried before, and they're actually kind of small for a ukulele in some of the chords that I try to play. But I actually lived right behind a musician's workshop on Merriman, and I walked over there one day, and I said, I want to start writing songs. So I went over there, and I bought my first ukulele, and it just kind of, the rest is history, really.
You become a songwriter,
Yeah.
a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
How many songs have you written?
About 9 or 10.
Really? Oh, is that
Yeah.
cool?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy writing songs?
I love writing songs. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love the process. I love having that initial idea and being able to write it down on paper and and put it together in lyrically.
Well, singer-songwriters just amaze me, in terms of coming up with the idea for the song, the creative process on it. But I always wonder, after you come up with a song, is it ever finished, or do you ever think about, like, to change it or modify it or adapt it?
I think all of my songs have evolved since I first wrote them, just kind of naturally. I'll add more instruments or less instruments or other voices, and it always tends to evolve on its own, really.
Now, can it change, like, for example, one we'll talk about in just a second, the man bun. Can it, exactly, the title is,
I always giggle when you say that.
but just the title is just great, and the concept of it. But so you wrote the song, you did a great video of it. That's where I first saw you, I think.
It's on YouTube, yeah.
Right, and how did, so that song is finished, but does it change at all, or will it change down the road?
I don't think so. I think that's one of my songs that I really want to keep the way it is, just because it seems to be a very popular song of mine, and I like to keep it. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep it the way
Well,
it is.
just what I especially liked about the song, I love a song that has deep philosophical meaning, and it really gets you to think about life and problems, and you get time. Love the concept of it. How did you come up with the idea?
For the Man Bun
Yeah.
song, I was just sitting with my old roommate, actually right behind the house that I lived in, on Merriman, and I don't know. I think we were talking about guys. We were talking about what we found attractive in men, and I've always found long hair attractive in men. So, and during that time, there was a big, man buns were kind of a thing during that time. And I live in Asheville, so there's a lot of man buns in Asheville, I guess you could say. And I don't know, it kind of evolved from there. It started off with just the verses and the chorus, and then later I added the rap somehow.
What was cool about it too, so you wrote the song and then you did the video after you wrote
Yeah,
it?
we did the video afterwards. I performed it at an open mic, actually, at what used to be known as Noble Kava, now Sovereign Kava, when they were at the Altamont Theater. And I played it, and somebody came up to me and asked me, I want to record this song with you. And he actually became a member of my band, played the drums, Mark Yoder. And yeah, and it kind of evolved. And he was like, you should do a video. And then I got all my friends together. And a lot of my friends are good-looking, long-haired men, really. And so I got everybody together, and we just made a video,
Well,
and it was really
At
awesome.
the time you made the video, did they have man buns or they created them for you?
They did. They did have the long hair and the man buns. A couple of them have cut their hair since then, and I'm very sad about that. But
Well, and for the benefit of the people who are kind of struggling with the concept of man bun, if you could explain it, and then we'll have you sing it.
the concept of the hairstyle,
the
the
man
concept
bun,
of
yeah.
my song.
No, more the concept of the hairstyle. What is it?
The man bun is a glorious bun on the top of the man's head. That's basically what it is.
Well, what's so funny about it, even as you're describing about it, talking about it, that men, it's also women used to have that as a hairstyle.
It's very feminine, yes.
Yeah, but used to like a kind of a dowdy look for a woman. It'd be like a librarian type
Right.
look. They have the hairstyle, and on top they'd have this bun. And I didn't think it was particularly fashionable or, whatever. But
Right.
thanks to you, you're one person effort to bring back the look.
Bring it back, or cut it off. Either way.
And this can be, I'll have you get Luna out, if you would, because this could be a perfect way to introduce Laura's first song today. And she's going to sing, as a personal request of mine, she's going to be singing the song Man Bun. And do you want to say anything else about it, or just get into it?
Well, I just hope you enjoy it.
Okay, well, if not, forget it. But let's go.
You walk into the room with that elastic in your hair, and I see ya. Oh yeah, I see ya. I don't even mind that later in life you may be bald, but for now you look so good. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. Oh, I love man buns. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. Oh, I love man buns. I don't know what it is about that feminine hairstyle I love so much. Maybe I just like vaginas. I never knew that it could be made of dreads until that day. Oh, it whisked me away. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. Oh, I love man buns. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. Oh, I love man buns. I don't want to see any braids. No, no, I don't want that head shave. I just want to have little man bun babies with your little man bun. I love those buns so much, I wrote a song about it. Oh yes, they make me blush, and you can never doubt it. Black, red, brown, blonde, it don't matter. But seeing nothing on your crown never made me sadder. Walking on by like you, Jared Leto, you gonna make me cry and ramp up my libido. Hey audience, look under your chair. A man bun for everyone, everywhere. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. Oh, I love man buns. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. This is the man bun song. Oh, I love man buns.
I love it. But I can't have a man bun. I don't have
No.
enough hair. Or could we get like a man bun wig or
You
something?
know, there are little people over the years have sent me different things that have to do with man buns. I have a man bun mug that my roommate gave me. I have a Ken doll that somebody gave me with, actually my aunt gave it to me, and it has a little man bun on the Ken doll. And people send me links on Facebook, and there's actually a clip that you could have that has a man bun, gives you a man bun, basically,
so I
that you
get-
can get on
I get one of
Amazon.com or
those?
something like that. Yeah.
Or if I see you in concert, I should
Yeah. You
bring
should
it for
just, yeah. You
I
should,
don't know how it would
I'll
look.
send you the link, and you can buy it, or I'll buy it for you.
Or we have to get Keanu Reeves to have a man bun.
We have to get Keanu Reeves. Oh no,
Private inside
that's
joke.
a very inside joke. It's a backstage hands on a hard body inside joke. Thank you, Sarah Terry.
Well, I'm waiting for the next song, though. I'll have a personal request. So you write songs, I don't have to take personal request. But I'm waiting for the Cinnamon Buns song. you
Cinnamon
know.
bun song. I could
so
try it. I could try it.
I'm there. How do you get ideas for songs?
They kind of just pop in my head most of the time. I'll have an idea, and then I'll be like, oh my goodness. And I'm so glad that I have my phone and my voice memo on my iPhone. And I can just kind of like sing it as I'm like, sometimes I'll go, Siri, can you turn on voice memo while I'm driving? You know? And it kind of evolves from there, and I'll sit down and I actually write it. It's normally when something big happens to me, something grand. And then I have to write a song about this. This is very important in my life, and it kind of like shows my journey throughout the past 3 years, starting off, excluding the Man Bun song is not really, but definitely the more deep and meaningful songs that I've written have definitely have shown how I've progressed.
Do you have preference now in terms of performing or writing?
I love performing. I really do. I love to write too, but getting up on stage and singing somebody else's song or singing my song is really important to me, because I feel like it's what I know it sounds cliche, but born to do, really. And it just makes me so happy to be on stage and perform. There's nothing else like it.
Well, if ever there was a part written for you, I think it was in Hands on a Hard Body, because you shined in that part.
Thank
And it's
you.
kind of funny because you were saying what you meant to be, and the character is singing all the time.
Yeah.
And singing
And laughing.
and joyously, and
As
you,
I do all.
you do like,
Yeah,
and
I
you like
do.
to sing, you like to laugh, and allow if you've never heard it, and you hear a little bit here, but she has one of the great laughs of all time. Was that hard for you doing the show? I mean, that was not just a great laugh, but it was a loud laugh.
It was.
Did you have to work at that?
About the laugh,
Yeah.
actually. Sometimes it was kind of forced at first. I know there was kind of a funny part before it, so I would try to incorporate it into the laugh, like try to laugh at the past scene. And sometimes it had to be forced, but I did have to work at it a little bit on stage. But it was never. I never had to really, really fake it. No.
Because it was so good. It was so on target. And, I think, a shout out to Linda Schuler,
Yes.
helped you a little bit with it too.
Thank you,
But
Linda.
you just seemed to grow in it each night you just seemed to take it more and more into the part. I mean, do you
Yes.
miss it?
I miss it so. I actually had to turn in my script last Tuesday, and I walked away from that theater, and I feel like a piece of me had stayed there, and I think it had. And I was saying goodbye to a part of my life that I really cherish, and I'm very, very so happy that Jerry Crouch asked me to be Norma in Hands on a Hard Body. It was such a meaningful time in my life.
Now, do you see yourself doing other theater stuff?
I want to really work on my own stuff right now. But if I find if I see an audition for something that I really, really want to do, that I'm really, really passionate about, I'll do it. I'd rather not just go from show to show. I see other people doing it. I'm so happy for them, so happy they're doing it, but it's just not something that I want to.
And now the thing that amazed me about some of those other people you were saying, you go from show to show, kind of all at the same time. That we were just talking with the previous guest that Scott Cameron is doing 2 shows at one time.
Oh, my goodness.
And then some people are doing 2 shows at one time and then working on a third. I
Yeah.
said, whoa.
Yeah.
But you mentioned your music, and let's talk a little bit more about that. So you have a band now, too?
I have a band that I incorporate every now and again. The Moongrass String Band, banjo, guitar, and me with my ukulele. And I have come to absolutely adore the sound of the banjo. And I thought, my music sounds better unplugged. I used to have a 4-person band with a big drum set, bass, guitar and all that stuff, which I want to incorporate again in my next album, my first album rather, and certain songs anyway. But I just have come to love that kind of sound.
And so the group, mention a little bit, because then we'll talk about what else you're doing with the group. But you have 2 other people in the group with you?
Yes.
And they are?
Garrett Andrews and Oliver Steen or Jason. I forget his last name.
Jason.
My friend Jason.
Okay. But so you perform with them?
I do perform with them periodically, and we perform together at the Kava Bar most of the time. Yeah.
Now, are you performing some of your stuff? Are you performing other people's stuff as well?
We'll do some Grateful Dead covers sometimes, and we'll do my songs as well.
Okay, so when are you going to be next performing in the area?
I don't have an upcoming performance for that, but I do have. I'm going to be singing at the Diane Wortham Theater on August 4th.
Very exciting. Mention that too. Exciting program.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's called Imagine, and they raise money for the Haywood Street community. And I want to make sure I get all the information right. And it's going to be at 7 p.m. on August 4th at Diane Wortham Theater. It's a variety spectacular to benefit the Haywood Street fresco. And David Troy Francis is the producer of that show. And he saw me actually on Friends of Some Family Night at the Hands on a Hard Body and kind of tracked me down and said, I want you to sing. And Yeah, it's gonna be so amazing. I'm opening up the variety show.
Oh, you really?
With this little light of mine.
I was just going to ask you. That's
Yeah,
this,
yeah, like a gospel version. He heard me sing for Norma,
Right.
and wanted me to sing another gospel.
Well, that would be perfect for it.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything else that night?
Nothing else that night. I know that ACT is doing like a hairspray kind of thing that night too, and that'll be fun to see and
No,
watch.
but the August 4th. Oh, they're doing a segment.
They're doing a segment. It's
Oh.
a whole variety show. Different people. Franklin Keel is in it, and
Now you have me tempted.
different.
And Carol Dermott's, I think, in it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and lots of different people. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, absolutely.
August 4th. What night is that?
That is, I believe, a Sunday.
Now you have me tempted.
I could look it up and we have Google.
Well, we
all
could
that
look
stuff.
it up. But anyway.
It is a Sunday. Yes, I know it's a Sunday.
Oh, no, thank you for reminding me about it. It's a great, it's going to be a lot of fun evening, great cause. And to
Wonderful
see
cause.
you perform in that.
Yeah.
And so
It'll be
you're just
fun.
doing the one song. I mentioned to you off the air, I'd like you to feel free to sing another song for us today.
Okay.
And you have another song in mind?
I do. It's called Cloud 8. And it's kind of about after you've kind of gotten over somebody and they've come down off of your, I guess you kind of put people on a pedestal when you have feelings for someone. And you think that they're way high in the air, and then they come on down. You're like, wait a second, that person wasn't as good as I thought they were. You know what I mean? Because it kind of clouds your judgment sometimes. So that's what it's about.
Is this a somewhat autobiographical song?
I think so. Yeah, most of them are. It's mostly about someone or something that happened to me, in
Right.
real life. So
And this is the latter part of your life, like only primarily the last couple of years? Or does some of it go back further?
just for the last 3 years.
Really
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
Could you do us the honors?
absolutely.
Warm up Luna and get Luna to play the song. And this again, the name of the song is
It's called Cloud 8.
Cloud 8. Is there a video on this one?
There's no video for this, but there is I do have my YouTube, if I can mention the main
Sure,
one
please,
song
yeah.
again. It's on YouTube under Magie. It's LAUMAGIE. And my YouTube channel, and it's the Man Bun song, and that's where the Man Bun song video is. So you should just search for that.
And this song, is that anywhere?
It is not anywhere yet,
Yeah,
but it will
okay.
be. Aaron Woodywood has agreed to sing this song with me, and I'm really excited. I've sung with him before, and he's so wonderful and talented, and I look up to him, and I love that he wants to sing with me.
Okay, great.
So here we go. Oh no, I'm not gonna learn that song for you. Instead, I'm gonna forget what you say to be true. You have no power over me, yeah. I can't believe it took me that long to see. I'm coming down from the clouds. Finally, you're stepping off that pedestal so gracefully. But I won't forget just what I did to me. I have no reason to stay here. You've made your thoughts and decisions clear. What you did will never compare to what that girl did when I look in the mirror. I'm coming down from the clouds. Finally, you're stepping off that pedestal so gracefully, but I won't forget just what I did to me. Yeah. Oh, what I did to me. Yeah. Find no reason to give up this abuse. I'm finding my insides a lifelong truth. I'm coming down from the clouds. Finally, you're stepping off that pedestal so gracefully, but I won't forget, no, just what I did, yeah. And I won't forget, no, just what I did to me. Oh, what I did to me. Oh, what I did to me.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
The she had a chance to perform, so you're going to be at Dinah Wortham, which is going to be exciting.
Right.
Big stage.
Yes.
Preference: big stage, small stage. What do you prefer?
I actually prefer the small stage. I like to be able to make eye contact with people. I like to be able to connect with people on the same level. I really like being on the big stage. It's really great, but I like to kind of interact with my friends or interact with the people that have come to see me a lot more instead of having that wall, because in theater there's that wall. You can't really like look at anybody, except sometimes it really does happen.
There's one of the great things about having you, first of all, in the show at Asheville Community Theater, but even here, that miking you is not really a problem, in terms of, no, you're laughing. I'm looking at the board, and I hope it wasn't too loud for some people. I'm constantly bringing it down.
I saw you do that.
Yeah.
Actually, the first time I performed in a variety show when I was in high school, my theater teacher had previously said, I didn't have any confidence. So I sang, I have confidence in sunshine. I have confidence in rain to show him, And in the middle of the song, my mic went out. But the sound guy, he was at the other end of the theater, said he could hear me perfectly, So I thought that was it's a really good, I love telling that story. But yeah, no, you don't really have to put the mic up too high.
So that's never been a problem for you?
Yeah, it's never been a problem.
Well,
really.
when we have you on board, we talked before about, with your group, I'll keep that in mind.
You'll
now,
remember.
to just keep the sound
Probably the
down low.
banjo. The banjo's louder than me.
Is it really?
Sometimes. Yeah.
I love the uke. It just sounds so good.
Thank you.
Who influenced you musically?
Oh, wow. Everyone, really. When I was younger, I would listen to Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston, and I really loved Celine Dion and Mariah Carey. Very, the other early stuff was very soulful. And I think most of my inspiration comes from singing in church, too. I did, when I was in high school, I sang in the church choir, and I sang the Alleluia. And my mom tells me stories that when I first started singing the Alleluia, I would sing it very soulful and gospel-y, and people kind of turned their heads at me because they were like, ooh, where did this girl come from, kind of thing. And that was always my favorite part of high school, at least.
If folks want to get more information about you, best bet is to do what?
Probably go on Facebook, look up Magie, Laumagie, and Instagram. And I post a lot of my future shows there. And then, of course, the YouTube. I do have a SoundCloud, so just look it up the same way.
Anyway, I'd like to thank you, Magie, for being my guest the
Thank
second
you for
half hour
having me.
on the Blainsville Show. Also to Rodney Smith for being my guest on the first half hour. Also to Amy Prisnash, my producer, and to Zuzu Welsh, who played the music here at the beginning of the show and at the end. Hopefully you can join us next Wednesday at 9 a.m. here on the new WPVM LP in Asheville, North Carolina. You can also listen online at WPVMFM.org and hope to see you again.